Hi there, I'm Karen. Hang on to your scissors because we're going to do a trial video. It's just me and my daughters, no sponsor, nothing fancy, just me sewing in my sewing room. What we're going to do is learn how to wrap a rope. And my personal opinion is I like 1/4 inch cotton, 100% cotton clothesline with no core. I don't like the core because the core makes your machine have to move back and forth and you can hit the cord. Whereas if there's no cord, you're safe. Okay, let's start in.
Talk about these.
Oh, you want a picture of those are some of the ones I tried, didn't like, but I kept some samples of them so I would know. This one isn't good, it's a polyester. This one is too thin. This one isn't wrapped tight. This one's wrapped loose. And this one's just got netting over the top of it. And it isn't substantial, it doesn't hold up well. This is the cord I really, really like. And later on, I'll give you a post to where to buy this. I buy it in 328-foot Yanks. You might say that's a lot, but it made 2 of those really big trivets, and it will make another small one, and you might get 2 or 3 out of it. Okay, I always have, when you start wrapping, you want some glue sticks. I like the Elmer's glue stick. I didn't think I liked the purple to begin with, but now I'm finding you can see where you're putting the glue on the fabric, and you know if you've got too much or not enough, and it dries clear, so there's no problem. I always keep the cardboard out of bias tape, or you can cut your own piece of cardboard, because you need the glue on something so you're not getting it all over your hands, on your fabric, or whatever. Tips. Number 1 is keep extra bobbins wound. Even on my big trivets, I use 2.5 bobbins. And if they're wound, you whip one out and put the other one in and you're not screaming. Keep the rope taut when wrapping and pull the fabric tight so that you don't have a wobbly piece. Just let the rope, when you're sewing, let the rope lie next to the last row. Don't pull or push. Just let it lie flat, because if you do either of the above, your machine will get mad. I use these clips for everything. Anything else I sew that's got your sewing on the outside, these clips are wonderful. They're great. They're great. And they are on Amazon. You want to buy the package. I know you'll think this is a tremendous amount, but 100 of them doesn't go very far. When you start cutting your strips, you put a wonder clip on the end of it. They're all nice and tidy together, and then you'll put them in a Ziploc after you've used what you want to use. Fold them, put them in a Ziploc. They don't get ruffly, the edges don't fray. So I start with one piece. We're going to learn how to wrap it. I start with a little glue here. Better turn the stick up so we got some glue. I glue about that far. And then be sure and put the lid on because it dries out really fast too. And I'll take this piece of rope. I like to wrap. I have to stop and think about this. I have to wrap from the right to the left. And you just squeeze your cord in there. Leave a little bit, start wrapping. Leave a little bit on the top so when you sew it all together, you cover that cord and there's no cord showing. And I'll start wrapping. And I'll show you how I wrap. I wrap tightly. This is the only time when you're doing this kind of stuff that you use tight, or I put my cord down on my feet. I put my arm here, and let's see, I'll have to show you this in a minute. You just start making a tight wrap in an angle down, and the more you handle this cord, the more frayed it will get. I learned that the hard way because I just grabbed all of them and put them in a bushel basket. And don't over handle your strips. That causes major amount of fray. In fact, I can show you a bag I've got over there that I'll probably throw away because it's got so much ravel on it. There are 3 kinds of starch you can do. You can have, this one's got a 2.5 inch. This one's got an inch, I think. Or there's this round one. I hate the round one. But I learned...
Let me see the round one.
I learned from a video from somebody else how to start these round ones. And I use, just a minute, I use my little pair of pliers, pinch this, twist it, and keep going around. And then you take pins and you put them straight through. These aren't good pins. Put them straight through all the way, 4 corners. Then you take a straight stitch and do stitches across. You take your pins out, you do the other, so it's a pie shape. It's not my favorite way to start. I like the long. Another way that I like to start a wrap down the middle, where the big one has 9 inches. You start down, instead of starting this end under your feed dogs and your presser foot, that's too hard to get through there. So you go down a ways, about down to here where it fits together nice. You hold it together, you stitch down this to the end of this one. Take it out, cut off the thread, turn it around, and come start from where you started back here. Keep it pinched together. Use chopsticks or anything else you've got that you like until you keep it pinched together all the way till you get clear to the end. And then I do 2 or 3 extra stitches right on that end to hold it. And that's what we're going to do. That's what you're going to do on the kits of the 8-inch trivets if you want a kit. Okay, here we go. See, the starting point of this is, it starts here, goes down to here.
How many inches is that?
9 inches on this big one, and it'll end up 12 across and 20 down. I've learned a new way to put this on too by somebody's other video, was to sew it all the way around to here. It makes it tighter. So okay. I learn something every day also. As tape, insert, or cut you a piece of cardboard, but keep something like that to glue on. And I will glue this in 2 or 3 inches so that it'll catch well. Be sure and put the lid on because it dries out really easy and really fast. Okay, you start with that cord, you leave a little bit so that you can cover the end of the cord when you start sewing. And this is one point that you want it nice and tight when you get started here. I've had to reduce them. Okay, we're going to stop right there for a minute, and I'm going to show you what I do, because the more handling you do of the fabric, the more frayed it gets. I'll go to a middle point of a strip of fabric with the fabric. I'll bring the end up to the middle, and then I'll pull it up here so that I've got about a 2 or 3 inch bundle there. And then I put one of my Wonder clips on it, so that when I'm holding this, I put this under one foot over here, over my leg. This is the only time when you're wrapping you want to keep some tautness. You wrap tightly, and you hold your rope tight. That is one of the reasons you cannot wrap too far ahead of you, because if it sits there, it loses its strength, its tightness. And you can see about, I put my thumb, my finger on my last wrap. And this just falls down and you don't have to handle all of that strip. You just handle the part you're wrapping with. Hold your finger on it. Keep wrapping. See, it goes pretty fast once you get started. And you just keep going like this. Got the idea? Okay, are you ready to wrap your own now? You have some little frays on it if you're really worried about them. Sometimes if there's a big fray, I'll take my finger and push the frays to the inside so that they cover up when I pull my wrap over it. Okay, I've gone far enough. I'm going to clip this that way it doesn't unravel. I'm going to cut this off. And then I'm going to show you how
But you're only cutting it off so that you can show the next join.
Yes. So
You'd normally keep wrapping all the way.
Yeah, I keep wrapping all the way.
Don't ever cut them off unless you're at the end.
No, do the total width of fabric, and do always put that hunk of fabric under the clip so that it gives you some weight.
It's easier to flip it over that way because the weight flips it over.
The weight pulls it down, and you don't have to handle it and pull it all the way down, because the least amount you can handle these strips, the least they're going to fray. Okay, what color shall we put on this? Let's put this color on it. We're going to learn how to splice the fabric. I go in, I kind of work this around so it kind of hangs tight so that I don't have to hold all of it. So see, it'll sit right there. I'm going to put some, about a 1/2 inch, and I make sure it's on the top, heavy on the top. Then I'll do the new one I'm going to put on, just about a 1/2 inch, a little bit of that. And I will overlap this here, even Stevens, end to end, about a 1/2 inch. Then I'll take the glue stick and add a little more, in there, and I run down just a little ways on the side that's going to be the top side, so it'll stay. And then pull this off of here carefully, because I've pulled it off before and it's come undone, and then you have to redo it. Take the clip off, hold your fingers tight on that as you do it. Push it around. Push it around so it's
Don't pull
tight.
hard on that
Don't
new
pull
lead
hard
joint.
on new joint, because it will
joint.
pull apart.
Yep.
Okay, I'll pull it this far, and I'll go back and look and see where was my joint. It's right there. I'm going to clip those threads off. My joint was right there. See these little wonder clips? You put one right over that joint. Then when you're sewing, you know where you're getting to a joint, and you know to kind of watch for it. When I get short rope, I just clasp it between my knees, and then still keep pulling.
Who knew this
taut.
took leg strength?
Oh yeah, you got to have use your feet, your legs, your teeth, whatever works. And then you start wrapping again. Sometime later in a different video, if you don't mind this one and all my stops and starts and forgetting, we'll show you how to splice rope. That's really not hard to do. Okay, so you got this down. You're ready to start wrapping your rope. I usually don't cut my rope off because I never know if I'm going to wrap a little tighter or a little looser. When I do those big trivets, they take approximately 80 feet of rope to make one of the big trivets that you've all admired on my site. And I don't cut it off, but I will measure it off and put a pin in the 80 feet with a little tag on it that says how many feet I'm at with for this pin. So when I'm doing my trivet, I know I'm either a foot away or I know I'm a foot past it. So I know how much rope I've got in there. But that's why I don't cut it off. If you're doing something that you know, like we plan on making some kits up, which I will ask you later if you're interested in. We're going to, I've measured out, where's that trivet? Give in the one I gave to you. This trivet, I've measured this trivet out. It takes 24 feet of rope. I know how many strips of fabric. So you could cut that off at, I'd say 25 feet. You could cut one off if you needed to cut it and didn't like having the excess rope there. We're gonna close this up here. Okay. 2.5 inch strip for an 8 by 10 inch. Glue the top on. Leave a little extra to cover the rope when you're through down here. Once again, I go. It's kind of, you get your fingers gluey and it's kind of hard to get that first wrap in there. Just like it's hard to make the first few corners around it. But you get onto it, and once you get past that, it's a breeze, and you can put the pedal to the metal and get that puppy done. Okay, I'm wrapping now. I want to wrap this down. Got my wrap done this far. I'm going to measure, I'm going to push that little end around, and I'll measure 2 1/4 inches, and then I'll bend it. Really tight bend. Really tight. And I'll probably put a clip on the end of it right now so I know where I'm at. So we're gonna go. It goes together really well about right here, and that's about what you've got, about 1 inch left on it.
Turn your light on.
Okay, I'll push it together. Just so you're not trying to push that through the feed dog and under the sewing machine at the same time. So I'll push that tight. So, oh, maybe I better change to my machine to a 4. I go to about a 3 to start with, and a 6 on width. I have to sew with my shoe off. I like my bare foot, so I have to do that. Okay, we're gonna start that. Can you see?
No, I can.
And where the joins together, where the 2 fabrics are together, should be the middle. If you have an open foot, that's good. You can see it. If not, I put a mark on mine so that it goes right down the crease of
And
that
it's
fabric.
straddling the
It's straddling valley of both sides of the strip. So it's sewing 2 strips together. That's what it does. I'll tuck that end up in under there, and I'll sew down to pretty close to catch that one end. And I learned that if you back stitch with a zigzag, it'll go back right in those same stitches. It closes that. By hand, I'll wheel that up, pull it out. Now you can see the stitching on there. Actually, when I moved into the motorhome and lived there for 18 years, I said I have to have my sewing machines, and I sewed everything. I said from then on, everything is in black or white thread, and that's what I used for 18 years. I don't color for it, and I still use a lot of white. So then you turn this on down the 2-inch beginning strip. We're taking it off. We're going to turn it around. Keep your thread behind you, because the machine, mine doesn't anyway, like bunched up thread. And you slide this in under there, and you'll line the strip up, And I start back 2 or 3 stitches from where you started going the other way. And take my chopsticks, keep that middle right up. I forget to put my presser foot down every now and then too. And you go up, keeping that pressed together till you get clear to the end. I'll take one more stitch, and then I'll do a back stitch which locks it right there. You'll not see it at all when I take this out and cut it off. See, I started there to do back this way. Okay, now you're ready to start going around the corner. I hand wheel around these corners about the first 3 corners. I'll start back up here, so I'm redoing, presser foot down, and I start bending my cord around that first one we ended, bend it around, and then I watch where it's hitting the fabric, and I'll start bending this a little more so that it hits the outside fabric, and the needle then will go straight back down into the other one.
And you lift your presser foot as you're
Lift the
turning.
pressure foot as I'm turning so that it'll go back down in that same hole. Twist it a little more. It'll go back out into the other strip. Lift the presser foot, turn it a little more till you get presser foot down. Okay. I'm not used to having to tell somebody how I do something. Back. Now I think I'm ready to, no, real close to straight. We'll call that good. And you hold those together this first little bit. After this, you don't. And if you think it's getting a little wonky, you just, and you see you can twist it a little so you keep it straight. And I'm going to lift this and come straight down that now. Pull those back to the back. I'll catch them next time. Okay, you lay that cord right next to there. You don't push it, you don't pull it, you just let it lay there. You hold one finger on this one, or sometimes I'll hold the fabric up like this so I know what I'm doing. And you just lay this one next to, and I'll do the same thing probably for about 2 more turns by hand wheeling it. You see I'm catching both sides of that crease now. I'll start turning this just a little bit so that it still catches both pieces of fabric. I'll turn it just a little bit more. It's caught the inner fabric. Now it's catching the outer fabric, or cord, or whatever you want to call them. And I'll do it again. I'll spin it just a little bit more. I'll spin this one a little more. And then as your curve gets wider, you don't have to do this. It'll go easy. You can slow it down and you'll be right. Okay, when I'm doing this, I don't speak. I don't talk to anybody. I just concentrate. And so it won't be right on. It doesn't have to be every time. You'll learn. The wrong scissors. I love my Kia scissors, by the way. I've had Guggenheim. The Kia has worked best for me. My garbage pail is usually up on top and not down below, so I'm forgetting where it's at. Okay, we turn it again and go back down, laying the fabric. Okay, see, it was a little wonky, so we'll twist it a little bit so it goes straight now. This one we might be able to turn with just so you can see the cord right there. You're going on both sides of it. And you can turn, once the needle's down, you can turn it just a little bit. Okay, I think I'm about ready to come straight down again. Yep, they're lined right up, see? Okay, I'm far enough now that I want to put another strip of fabric on so I don't get any closer than this. So that I'll slide this back a little.
Yes.
We've got it all patched here, the new cord. So we'll start in. We get around, and I hold it up with this hand. I guess I do. I don't realize that. And now we're going around the corner, and we can do this without doing it by hand now and go easy around the corner. And if you give one of these to somebody and they don't sew, they are not going to know when you've made a mistake. So just keep right on sewing and giving them away. See, I made that whole corner without stopping and hand doing. Oh, and it's so much fun to see new colors come into your trivet. Are you guys really interested? Would you be interested in having a kit made up with enough to do this small 8x10 trivet in a kit with a couple of clips, a glue stick? We'll number the fabric so you know which order to put them in and start them on. If you're interested, when you speak to me about the video, let me know if you're interested in a kit like that. We haven't decided exactly what price yet. We've got to price it out, but we're just playing with that idea that maybe you talk about the fabrics we have. Well, to me, that's an easy thing to do, but maybe it isn't for everybody. Okay, see, now you can put the pedal to the metal. I'll probably increase my stitch width to 7 or 6.5 now, and I'll go to 4 in my stitch length because we're out from the critical area. See how this is following right along the crease? How the two ropes are laying side by side. I'm not pushing them, I'm not pulling them. They just lay side by side. This is specifically for the gals that how do you keep them from curling? This is how. And when I get the great big trivets, I have to build my shelf up all around because you have to keep your trivets flat as you're sewing. Otherwise, if they fall down, they loop, they're not going to lay flat when you're all through. So, okay, we'll go ahead and go around another round of this. Okay, we're ready for another add-on. Let's put this out behind my foot like I like. Flip this over into my lap again till I get past the joint, the fabric joint. Still holding tight. We're adding new color. Oh, I love this part. I love this part. I guess that's why I like the colors of the fabric so well, because I like mixing colors and doing different fabrics and looking good. I think this will be my next one, the zebras on top of this. I think that'll look good. That'll make a nice 8x10 trivet. A lot of people like black and white. Black trivet from today is all finished. This is the right side. We'll turn it over. And that is the wrong side. There is no difference between the two of them.